Hey there, virtual reality flight sim people. I just want to pass along the software OVR Toolkit because it's pretty cool and I wasn't really aware of it. And it solved a real problem for me doing flight simulators, mainly DCS, and having to get back to the desktop pretty quickly to go to SRS, Discord, voice attack, all these different things that we need to get back to the desktop for. If you have a headset like a Pimax or the original Vive, I'm not really sure about the Vive Pro because I've never had that, or even how the index works. But normally in SteamVR, at least with the Pimax or the original Vive, the only way that you could really get to SteamVR to see a desktop when you're in VR is to have the controllers turned on and then press the SteamVR button in the middle of your controller in order to see the desktop. And that's kind of a real pain because that you have enough stuff going on when you're in VR, enough controllers and things going on that you don't need the controllers and need to fumble around for a controller when you need to see a desktop in VR. So this OVR toolkit works fantastic. I guess the thing that I want to mention is just as far as the use of it, what's really nice is you can bind pretty much any button to fire it up while you're in VR, and the desktop comes right up on the screen. And actually, let me just show you what my view looks like inside the headset here. If I go to display my VR view, to me here I am in SteamVR, and when I have that binded button, as you can see, the desktop just kind of comes up right on the screen there. And when you're doing this, a couple suggestions to make it go smoothly so you don't have to use the controllers at all that I needed to figure out was this. In your SteamVR settings, you want to have VR dashboard on system button turned off, because otherwise when you fire up your headset, you're going to get the main dashboard and of SteamVR and not be able to turn it off. So leave that off. Or turn that to off, at least when you're using OVR Toolkit, so that you can turn on your desktop view without having to grab the controllers to begin with, which is the whole point of getting the software as far as I'm concerned. The other thing just about the software is that it's very user-friendly, and the developer was like super responsive. He only just recently did this. The sim version of it. Prior to that, you needed the controllers, and he was super responsive on a few things that weren't quite working, and it's been great. So actually, let me go back to the view here just for one more thing, just to kind of show you. Oh, and there's actually one other important thing. The order to fire this up is, at least for example with the Pimax, is you start your Pi tool first, and then I usually like to go to Steam next. Go to Steam, and from Steam fire up SteamVR, and then in Steam itself launch OVR Toolkit so that that's running. And then once all this is going and you have the apps up that you want and you're in VR and you can see your desktop and looking good, then you can fire up DCS, or if you're using another flight simulator, to just kind of be at your desktop and see the app there. So yeah, I hope that that's very helpful for people, because this is something that's been a real issue for me using the Pimax, because I have had an Oculus before and I have had Vive before, and or not Vive. Just with Oculus, I know that you can use the see the desktop and move the windows around. You can do all of that in OVR Toolkit. It's really great, and works fantastic. And the developer is super responsive and awesome, and I think it's priced pretty well for what it is. So really solved my problem. Actually, I do want to just mention a couple more things to make things go well for you if you're like I am as far as using it, and that is, let me go back to my view, and that is this. You use left control to go into your overlay, and I like to turn head gaze off so that I can just use the mouse just like I would normally do. on a desktop. And then also in the window settings, this is important for me. I turn ECO mode off. If you turn it on, you're going to have the mouse is going to be very delayed, and you're going to get like less than 5 frames per second on the mouse. And it does that because it's obviously wanted to save some of the GPU for the game that you're running. But I don't really even see a difference in terms of frame rates, in terms of what I'm pulling in DCS when I turn that off. So I do like to have one-to-one mouse movement and have that be a smooth 60 frames a second. So I have that ECO mode turned off because that was something that kind of was the last piece of the puzzle where I was like, can I use this or can I not? And that solved it for me. So ECO mode, turn it off, head gaze, turn it off, and then what you have is you have a great desktop view where you can move your mouse around, make all these different things happen, and when you're in your sim, you can just go and see your desktop view to play around with SRS or anything else that you need to play around with. Hope that's helpful to somebody. Thanks.